Have you ever had one of those moments? A single, tiny sliver of time that cleanly slices your life into two distinct parts. The before and the after. For me, that moment wasn't some grand, cinematic event. It wasn't a lottery win or a dramatic movie-style confrontation. It was a phone call. A simple, ordinary phone call on a Tuesday afternoon that completely rewrote the script of my life. Before the call, my world was predictable, comfortable. Even I had a decent job, a routine I could follow with my eyes closed, and a 5-year plan that was, let's just say, more of a suggestion than a blueprint. I was floating, really, drifting along a calm river, not really steering, just letting the current take me wherever it was headed. I wasn't unhappy, but I wasn't truly, deeply alive either. I was existing in shades of gray, convinced this was what adult life was all about. That Tuesday started like any other. I remember the weak afternoon sun filtering through my office window, the rhythmic click-clack of keyboards, the low hum of the air conditioner. I was staring at a spreadsheet, numbers blurring together, my mind already halfway out the door, thinking about what to make for dinner. Then my phone buzzed. An unknown number. I almost ignored it. I usually do. Who answers unknown numbers these days, right? But for some reason, a gut feeling, a tiny spark of curiosity, I swiped to answer. "Hello," I said, my voice flat, professional. The voice on the other end was hesitant, a little crackly. It was a woman I hadn't spoken to in over a decade, a mentor from an old internship, someone who had seen a spark in me that I'd long since forgotten existed. She was calling out, of the blue. She'd heard through the grapevine what I was doing now, and she had a question. A wild, insane, completely left-field question. She asked, "Do you remember that crazy idea you had? The one about the community art project? The one everyone said was impossible?" I froze. I hadn't thought about that idea in years. It was a dream ID packed away in a dusty box in the attic of my mind, labeled unrealistic. It was a passion project from a younger, more idealistic version of myself, a version I barely recognized anymore. I mumbled something like, "Yeah, I think so." She continued, her voice gaining strength. "Well, I just secured a small grant. It's not much, but it's a start." And I was thinking, are you still that person? Are you still the person who believed you could change the world with a paintbrush and a bit of hope? Silence, the entire office, the entire world seemed to fade away. All I could hear was her question echoing in my head. Am I still that person? I looked around my beige cubicle, at the stack of paperwork, at the life I had so carefully, so mindlessly built for myself. And the answer, bubbling up from a place I thought had gone dormant, was a quiet but fierce no. But I want to be. That phone call wasn't an offer of a new job. It wasn't a promise of fame or fortune. It was simply a mirror. It held up a reflection of a past self I had abandoned and asked if I was ready to meet them again. It was a tiny crack in the dam of my comfortable, predictable life. In the days that followed, that crack grew. Her question haunted me. I started digging out old sketchbooks, reading old journals. I reconnected with the person who dreamed big, who wasn't afraid of failure, who saw the world not just for what it was, but for what it could be. I realized I had been living my life on autopilot, sacrificing my passions for a paycheck, my dreams for a sense of security that was, in reality, just an illusion. The decision wasn't easy. It was terrifying. It meant leaving the known for the unknown. It meant stepping off the safe, paved path and into the dense, overgrown forest. I had to face the judgment of friends and family who thought I was crazy. You're giving up a good job for what? A maybe. A feeling. Yes, for a feeling. The feeling of being truly myself. So, I took the leap. Quit my job. I poured my meager savings into that impossible art project. There were days of doubt, days I was so scared I could barely breathe. There were moments I sat on the floor of my empty apartment, surrounded by paint cans, thinking, what have I done? I failed. A lot. Projects fell through. Funding ran out. People said no, But here's the thing about chasing a dream you truly believe in. Even the failures feel different. They're not dead ends. They're detours. They're lessons. Every no just made me more determined to find a yes. Every setback taught me resilience I never knew I had. And slowly, brick by brick, brushstroke by brushstroke, the project started to come to life. People started to notice. Volunteers showed up. The community got involved. That one small grant my mentor had secured acted like a seed. It attracted other small grants, then local business sponsorships. The impossible idea was becoming a reality, not because of some grand plan, but because of a series of small, brave steps. The gray world I had been living in exploded into vibrant color. I was working harder than I ever had in my life, for less money, with zero security, and I had never, ever been happier. Today, my life looks nothing like it did before that phone call. The Community Art Project has grown into a non-profit organization that has touched thousands of lives. I wake up every single morning filled with a sense of purpose that I can't even put into words. I'm no longer just existing. I'm living. I'm creating, connecting, and making a difference in my own small way. And it all started with answering an unknown number. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many of us are just one phone call, one conversation, one small, brave decision away from a completely different life? How many opportunities do we miss because we're afraid to pick up the phone, literally or metaphorically? My story isn't about telling you to quit your job and chase a wild dream. It's about listening to that quiet voice inside you, the one you've been ignoring. It's about recognizing those moments, those seemingly random phone calls that are actually invitations from the universe to step into a bigger, more authentic version of yourself. The after isn't always easy, but it's where you'll find the person you were always meant to be. So, the next time your phone rings with an unknown number, maybe, just maybe, you should answer it. You never know who's on the other end, waiting to ask you the question that could change everything. Thanks so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories. See you next time.